Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. How are you? Good. So, you didn't suffer this week at all? No, nothing unsatisfactory, nothing that you would not have chosen if you would have had a choice? Yeah. Maybe yes, yeah. Maybe some of it, at least. Okay, so we're on our third evening, so we have one more, which is a bit short. I realized as I was coming to Zurich, but we'll see how it goes. And maybe we start with hello, just come in. It's okay. It's fine. Just come in, relax. We'll start with a short meditation, just to arrive, to come here, to open up, to relax a bit, to calm the mind, to make it stable and clear. So again, when we talk about why meditation is important on this path, it's not to feel good in the meditation. How you feel in the meditation doesn't really matter so much. But it is to make the mind relaxed, stable, and clear. These are the three things that we are trying to do with the mind, because the mind by nature, mind and consciousness is the same, is clear, and it would act like a mirror where the world actually reflects. And it depends a lot on what mind state we are in, or what kind of mental factor is operating, how we see the world. So the object might be the same, and we can think about one person. I mean, I wonder if I should say that. Maybe then, the emotions go up very high. If you think of Mr. Trump, the president, some people look at him, it kind of, it develops like utter distrust and disgust and like, wow. And others totally adore him. It's the same person, yeah. And um, and then we can say, well, yeah, these other people are deluded or whatever. But then we can see that with ourselves also. Like, we have some people who like us, we have some people who dislike us, and we have some people that they don't care about us. We're totally just a lump of flesh walking around. There's absolutely nothing, not interested or whatever. So yet we are one person. So what does it depend? It depends on us, how we behave, how they see us, or what does it depend on? I mean, it's a question, isn't it? It's interesting to see when somebody really likes us and praises us and all this. Then we think, oh, well, I am like this. When somebody utterly dislikes us and only sees the negative sides, then we totally don't believe that we have these negative sides. And if somebody thinks we're totally uninteresting, also we think that they are wrong. That the reflection or how they see me is wrong. Yeah. So this is why one is trying to make the mind first relaxed, then stable, and then clear. So that clear means like a mountain lake where there's a reflection. Yeah, there's Lake Matheson in New Zealand. I don't know if somebody knows it or has seen it. The reflection is in it is so much. You see a postcard, you don't know which is the reflection and which is the actual mountain. So it's actually quite amazing, and we have some of those lakes also in Switzerland. So like this. So for that, one takes a certain posture, which also should be comfortable, but not too relaxed. Like, it's also good to go to extremes. If you would never have heard about meditation, and I would tell you, put your body in a totally relaxed way, what would you do? Probably lie down. Exactly. So that is relaxed, but it's not awake. So we want to have these two things, totally relaxed, but also awake. Yeah, so this is what we're trying to do also with having the upper body straight, if possible. Even you sit on a bench or on a chair, try not to lean against the wall, if possible. And sit with a lot of self-confidence, like um, another president of the United States, when we said, yes, we can. So try to express that, yes, we can, with a body posture. So that somebody would come in and would see, yeah, wow, somebody full of self-confidence, like pantomime. We have Our emotions and our states of mind very often is expressed through the body. So try to do that. Not looking at me, but connecting with your body. So for that, it's good to close your eyes. Unless you're used to meditate with your eyes open, that would be fine. Really connect to the body and think, if I would have to express, yes, I can, or yes, I want to, not yes, I must, or yes, I should. Those are different. Those would be different postures. Yes, I can. And you can put some qualities in there. I can be compassionate. I can be kind. I can be wise. And to strengthen the trust in these qualities that we have, which are innate, we can think, because this is my nature. My human nature is kindness, compassion, and wisdom. And you can maybe notice what these thoughts are doing to the state of mind. Very often it becomes quite wide. It opens up, calms down. That's why the posture helps the mind to become open and stable. So now what one usually does in order to relax is you try to feel your breath in your whole body. Wherever you feel it, chest, abdomen, and see if that helps you to relax a little bit more. Because sometimes when we go directly to the tip of the nose, we become too narrow and we get tense. So just be with the breath. Don't manipulate anything. Just let it be natural, in and out. And when you get lost in thoughts, then just come back to feel the breath quite large, quite wide, especially abdomen and chest. Or maybe even in your arms and in your legs. To be aware of the body sensations always helps you to be in the present, because the body is always in the present, cannot be in the past nor in the future. So whenever you are aware of your body, you are present. There's also no need to manipulate anything. Allow the body to relax itself, becoming wide and open. If you still feel some tensions, use your out breath. With each out breath, you open up more and you become very wide. And do pay some attention to your face, that it becomes soft. No muscles held there. The jaws, the cheeks, the front, behind and around your eyes. Okay, then you set your motivation. in a way of what do I really want, what is important for me. Where is my deepest yearnings? What kind of person would I like to be? But again, without putting any pressure on yourself that this should be right now like this, but just to know where we want to go and why we're doing this. And sometimes also in this kind of world, that when we look what is happening, it really makes us upset. It's quite good to have some compassionate thoughts about towards ourselves. By, for example, thinking, may I be safe? Don't think that this is like selfish. Nobody benefits if you get harmed. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. May I be strong and healthy with a calm mind. And may I be able to live my life with joy and ease. And then so that the whole thing doesn't become too narrow, may everybody who meets me, sees me, thinks about me, hears me, touches me, may they benefit from that joy and ease. Okay, so those are just a few thoughts that might be good if you start, you can use in your daily life. That you start your day like this and you go out of the house totally differently. I don't know if you noticed how it's like, these thoughts sometimes you can maybe compare them. It's cold or wet and you're all wet and cold. You come home and then you have a bathtub and you put in like perfectly tempered water that you would like, and then you slide yourself into that hot water while you're totally frozen. These thoughts. And very often we don't dare to think about ourselves like this because we think it's always for others. But it's very important that you yourself, you are well and you don't get harmed. So did you notice anything when you think those thoughts? No? When you think, may I be safe? Nothing happening in your heart. No? Wow. Okay. Huh? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But did you feel something changing in your mind or in your body or absolutely nothing? That's interesting. Oh, uh, yeah. So use it until you. Sometimes we need to, the shell, this kind of protecting shell around here that we don't really want to admit that actually we're suffering, or that life is not as I would like to be, or I'm not as I would like to be. That kind of protection shell can be quite thick. So use it again and again and again and see until it cracks and until you feel something. This is why we use these thoughts or these words in order to change the mind state, to make it more open and to make it more relaxed. Because it's really the word relaxed is the key thing. Yeah, but we're not relaxed. Why? I mean, we talked about this last time when we talked about the two truths. Yeah, we talked about like there's two levels, and the conventional truth, what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we think, whatever, it's not true, but we think it's true, and then we have this uneasiness always. Yeah. And also just watch your mind when you go into a new situation, how nervous we are, as if, we have to, I don't know. Yeah, or we go, just going to a party can be very stressful if you go alone. I don't know if it's still like this these days. Yeah. If you go alone and then the fear, nobody will notice me, nobody will talk about me, they will find me not interesting or not beautiful or whatever. You still have the stress today when you go, the young people, when you go to a party? Why does one go to a party? Party is to have fun, isn't it? Yeah. So it doesn't matter, you can have fun at the party. Nobody talks to you and you just sit there in your corner instead of feeling lonely and embarrassed. We feel embarrassed because we think everybody is noticing how uninteresting I am. Nobody's noticing anything. That's why you're alone in your corner. Yeah. It's just your ego saying this. But when you're alone in your corner and you look others who are having very, very interesting conversations, you rejoice. You think, well, I can rest. Well, I don't have to prove anything. Better I don't open my mouth, so at least they don't see how, that maybe I don't understand so much about life and such and stuff. So you rejoice when others have a good time and you think, oh, great, I can rest. But it's very difficult not to feel tense. Yeah, and then you do this kind of opening up when you breathe out, so that the tension kind of gets released. Because these tensions, we don't even notice them. And that's the problem. And then they become closer and closer and closer and closer. Okay, so to recapitulate a little bit what we did last time, we talked about the Four Noble Truths. Yeah, we went into that. So I am on page 20 here in your booklet. We talked about the four nirvanas, and we talked about what makes a Buddhist, the four seals, and we talked about the four misconceptions. So 3 of these misconceptions I think we understand quite well. At least the first one, that we see things that are by nature impermanent, we see them as permanent. This is why we have so many disappointments in our life. And I don't remember so much what I told you to think about this week, how to integrate it. First week was like, whenever you do something, you were asking, why am I doing this? Last time, anybody really remembers? I only remember vaguely. You were not here, so you were kind of off the hook. Okay, so that's good. You're lucky. And I didn't write it down, so I think it was like whatever you see that it's you behind it you put, yeah, but it's impermanent. It will go out of existence. I think it was something like that, and that everything is just a reflection of your mind. Like it's the mind kind of projecting it, but also because we talked about precious human rebirth, which is on page 21, 22, 23. Yeah, that once we have understood that there is something we could do with our mind, because it's what we do here, we work with the mind, that we need to see, do I have the right conditions in order to be able to do this? Yeah, and when you have it, then you rejoice. And we do that every day. I mean, you decide that you want to go to the North Pole, then first you need to see, do I have what I need in order to get there? And if I don't have it, do I have the money to buy it? So it's the same way. It's the same thing for a spiritual path. So we talked about the master. And I said, well, for you, you don't really need to have a personal guru at the beginning of your path. First, you need to know whether you want to practice this. And in order to know what you want to practice, you need to know this path in its entirety. So before you kind of before you big say, oh, I'm a Buddhist and I want to have a guru or a teacher, then you know what, you take one of that pillow and then you can just put it in the middle and then it's much easier for you, right? So, so at least you know if you come to a group like this and you come to most of the events for 2 years, then you can say, I know this path. Now I know the beginning of it, the middle, and the end, and I know what they want. I know how it's being practiced, and it appeals to me. If it doesn't appeal to you what this guru is teaching you, then he cannot guide you. Yeah. So, and also, you know how they always say you have to check your guru. Is like in order to check whether the guru is saying what is he or she is supposed to say, you need to know the path. Otherwise, how I can tell you all kind of things if you don't know the Buddhist path or any other guru. By the way, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a guru. I just know maybe a little bit more than you do, but I definitely don't have the qualities of a guru. Yeah, and you have the qualities in here on page 22, but we don't need to go through them because also it's not part of this introductory course. But once you start looking for a guru, you better look at that list. And also you better look at the list of the disciples, because also the disciple needs to have some qualities. Then the work between the two of you, then it will work really well. But it's not like then you don't need to do anything anymore and you just have admiration and devotion and he's going to do it for you. It's not like this. He or she will tell you what to do. I just say he because I have all my gurus are male, so, and I don't mind. So I hope I'm not he or she. If you have a she guru, then it's fine. You just put she, okay? Yeah, it's like otherwise it becomes complicated, this whole thing. So there's a lot of things that you can practice once you start to engage in really serious practice, and then you get all confused. Should I go into retreat? Should I go work at the center? Should I go to study? What shall I do? So then it's good to, or what study shall I do? What shall I practice from which path? Yeah, from the path. So it's so for that, then the guru is good. But then in order for you not to get hurt, don't trust too quickly. It's okay to check the guru, but in order to check him, you need to know what he or she is supposed to teach, and the Four Noble Truths always have to be in there. So once we recognize, then after, but the thing is, why you need a guru now is because everybody who tells you about the Dharma has a guru. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to tell you about the Dharma. Everybody who writes a book about the Dharma has had a guru or has a guru. They're not coming up with this on their just by reading sutras, but everybody really has a guru. This is why. If I wouldn't have had a guru, I wouldn't be sitting here. I might be practicing Buddhism, that's for sure, but I definitely wouldn't teach. So like that. Then these, what we call the precious human rebirth, is on page 23. Is there you see what you need in order to be able to practice. So you need to be free from certain things, or you need to have certain things. So again, it's like it's a bit, it's Buddhist. So it says to be free, for example, to be born as a hell being, as a hungry ghost, as an animal, or as a long-living god. So those are what is called the six realms. So then you say, oh, I don't believe in the hell realms. Yeah, okay, it's fine with me. I mean, I don't mind if you don't believe in the hell realms. Me also have problems believing in them. I don't know if there are, but by hearing it again and again and again, I have arrived at the point where I say, why not? Just by not seeing it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So and then but we can see hell states on this planet, for example. A hell state would be like you're filled with excruciating pain 24 hours a day, either immense heat or immense cold, a lot of paranoia, a lot of attacking all the time each other. Syria is a place like this at the moment where you can't trust anybody. You don't know where the next bomb is going to explode and all these kind of places. There's no space there for you to work with your mind, to work with your emotions. All you are interested in is surviving. And I think it's the same here. 500 years ago, ordinary people didn't have time to sit down and work with their minds. They had to struggle for survival. It's only now that we have the luxury that our survival is pretty much okay. I mean, it guaranteed more or less, I would say, that we have the luxury to start to work with the mind. It is a luxury. Yeah. Other places on this planet, they don't have this luxury. So, but we have it. So then, hungry ghost means that that's that. You have the luxury of not having to worry about your survival. Of course, you have to go to work, but even if you don't have a job, I mean, we still have the state that makes sure that you're not dying. I mean, we take it for granted, but excuse me, it's not. You know, I mean, sometimes we don't even realize in what country we live, unless you go to other countries sometimes, where the state doesn't have enough money to look after the people. Yeah, everybody has to struggle for themselves. An animal. So why is it being an animal not a fortunate rebirth? Hmm? Yeah. What about a pet dog then, or a cat? Yeah, it's very restricted. I mean, I have a cat who comes to visit me every time I open the window because I look after the cat when the owner goes to on holiday. So I always have food. So I didn't have food this morning. The cat went almost berserk. I couldn't explain to him. I have to go shopping first. I had to throw him out because he was starting to bite me. You know. I was sitting on the chair and he came kind of biting my feet. So then I just had to throw him out. He didn't understand when I said, look, in half an hour you'll have food, but I have to go shopping first. That's what I mean. You cannot explain to them about emotions, about transforming their body, what brings suffering, what brings happiness, and all these kinds of things. He's very clever. I mean, he's thirsty. He lies into the sinks and he looks at the tap. I mean, he can tell me what he has, and usually where the pack of food is on a table kind of thing. So he jumps up and throws it down. But then there was nothing to throw down this morning. So as an animal, you don't have the capacity to do spiritual work. But if your mind as a human is very negative and you're just, you think about, or you learn even now these days, how to exploit others, how to earn a lot of money without any consideration what consequences that will be for the environment or for other people and all this, then it's better to be an animal because you do much less harm. Okay? But if your mind is positive, and we shouldn't forget, I mean, there's a lot of positive people around, yeah, who try to help, who do their best, who get engaged in, if you just think about Médecins Sans Frontières, it's amazing. They're usually very good doctors. They could have a cabinet somewhere here, and they earn a lot of money. And what do? They go to these very dangerous places where it's hot and it's not hygienic and like that. So it's like, huh? Yeah, making their life really meaningful. I think the Dalai Lama says we are visitors on this planet. We come here for 80, 90 years. So we have to find a sense of this life. And he says, well, I think the meaning of this life is that we can be of benefit to somebody else. And if you're able to help people, then your life has been really meaningful. So we can take this as a kind of pointer, or we can just leave it and think, no, 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 I live my own life and I look after myself. And then you become probably quite lonely and quite frightened also. Yeah. People who only look after themselves, they're not very good. They're kind of very lonely very quickly and then also frightened of the world. A long living God, this is Switzerland. So if you want to take it in this place. But a long living God would be somebody who has done a lot of spiritual practices, who has gone into a state where they're totally absorbed and the mind is totally in peace, but still because they haven't meditated on emptiness or on compassion or whatever, it's just concentration, it's just absorption, that's it. But it's very pleasant because all the pain is shut out, all the thoughts are shut out. It's total peace, but they haven't really finished the path yet. So then, what happens when you're in that state? And I'm not saying the Swiss people have these kind of absorptions, but long living God, you can compare it a little bit with Switzerland. Why? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we're kind of content, you know. It's like, well, but life is okay. Look, I could be in Africa, but I'm Switzerland. It's okay. You see, in every way you think, it can be either destructive or constructive. You know, thinking, wow, I live in Switzerland. I could be living in Africa. How wonderful. Let me make something out of that life. I have all these possibilities. Then it's just constructive. You can think, yeah, but look, I'm living in Switzerland. It's so beautiful. I could be living in Africa. Why should I do something? Yeah, it's the same thought. It's the same with almost all the emotions. It can go both ways. It can be constructive, it can be destructive. So don't be too afraid of your so-called negative emotions, but look at them and look what it does. Yeah? Is it constructive or is it destructive? So that's why meditation and being able to watch your mind and to actually feel in your body where your emotions go and what they do, this is essential. This is really important. So this is why the first one is mindfulness of the body. So we start to feel that these emotions make something in the body. These thoughts change something in the body. Yeah. Because the problem with emotions is that we try to change them up here. They're not here. They're here. This is where you feel them. This is where they manifest. This is where the energy then comes out. Okay, so long living God, people say, well, I'm okay. Why should I torture myself to sit down and meditate and practice? It's only when they start to be depressed because they're so well. Yeah, depression only comes with people who are really well, actually. Yeah, people who have to struggle for their survival, they don't have time to feel depressed. Yeah, this is another thing. Yeah, I've never seen depressed people in Bihar where they're really poor and have to struggle. But here, many. Yeah, so don't look so guilty. It's okay. We can change everything. Okay. See, and that's why people get depressed because they go, but I have enough money, I'm healthy, people like me, blah blah, I look good, and all this. I don't know why I'm so depressed. And then they feel guilty. And then I say, well, it's okay because money, looks, health, family, friends, it's not the cause for happiness. It's just a condition. You could be happy, but you can also not be happy with those people and with these things. It's not the cause. The cause is your connection with others, your love, your compassion for yourself, for others, an open heart, and all this. That is the cause for happiness. And ethical conduct is also cause for happiness. Yeah? But not having all these outside things. But this is what we think. And then when we have all of it, then what more can we get? And then we get depressed instead of looking somewhere else because we still go down the same alley and think, okay, maybe some more money. Maybe I should look a bit better. Maybe I should have more friends. Maybe I should have another partner. The kids, I can't exchange them, but the partner I can. Yeah, I mean, this is it. This constant change, isn't it? Okay. Wrong views. Wrong views for the wrong views would be very simple. You say that something does not, you're convinced that something does not exist when, as a matter of fact, it exists. And you're convinced that something does exist when, as a matter of fact, it does not exist. This is wrong views. And wrong views in Buddhist terms, but only in Buddhist terms, okay? That doesn't go for Christians or other people, is that you don't believe that it's possible to attain full awakening because then you will never attain it because you're not attaining it by coincidence. You have to work for it. And you have to, you have to know that you don't believe law of cause and effect and all these kind of things. Then the Buddhist path, of course, not for you, because every time you hear about karma, you get angry. Just happened this morning. Somebody who is doing some Buddhist practices, he said, I can't do anything with this karma thing. I say, well, sorry. It's like, it's a big part. Okay, without spiritual teachings, we need instructions. This is quite clear, isn't it? In a barbaric place would be in a place where you are not allowed to practice whatever you want to practice. You would have to do it secretly. You can't tell anybody. Tibet is such a place where we actually it comes from. This is at the moment it's such a place you cannot practice openly. You cannot follow the Dalai Lama openly. You cannot say. And many people died because of that. With limited capacities, it's like if you don't have the capacities to understand, it goes into that limited capacities. If you would have wanted to know about Buddhism, um, 80 years ago, you would have had to learn about Tibetan Buddhism. You would have had to learn Tibetan first, because there was no translations, no Tibetan spoke English or any other languages. So that also is like limited capacities. But it's, it means also not hearing, not seeing, and all this. It's not impossible, but it makes it definitely very difficult. We had one blind man in Dharamsala, and it was very difficult for him to find people just to take him down to the library, to the classes, and to read books to him and all these kind of things. This is many years ago, so now you have these hearing books in case you have somebody who can't see well. You can order quite a lot of hearing books where it's being read out on the internet. Okay, so we need to be free from those things, and we need to have what is called the 10 endowments or the 10 richnesses. We need to be human, born in a central land with at least 4 fully ordained monks. This also, quite a lot of people say in the West, maybe not necessary. I don't know. That also, there's a lot of not ordained teachers, which is fine. Having all sense organs intact, not having committed 5 heinous crimes, meaning not having, the 5 heinous crimes are having killed your father or your mother willingly and with a lot of gusto, saying, well, I'm so happy that I killed them. Having drawn blood from an arhat, no, having killed an arhat, having drawn blood from a Buddha, then creating a schism in a sangha when you have a well-functioning group, spiritual group, and you can't bear it, and you go with your wrong views and you start to split them. So these are called the 5 heinous crimes. So also, how to say? Also, how many of you have done longer meditation retreats? So then you have thoughts that come up all the time, yeah? Maybe sometimes memories from the past, no? When I talk about long, I talk about at least 2 weeks, if not longer. Huh? Sorry? 10 days, yeah, that's okay. A Goenka retreat or? A Goenka retreat or? Yeah, that's not really a meditation retreat. That is a study retreat, okay? Because you meditate quite little. What I'm talking about, either Vipassana retreat, Goenka retreat, where you just sit the whole day. You just sit and you do what we did for 10 minutes at the beginning. Anybody has done that? Yeah? Not yet. You want to do, yeah, it's very good to do. Anybody has done it? No, okay. So yeah, Julian. Yeah, a couple of days, maybe not enough. When the mind really starts to settle, and then the thoughts start to come up, especially from the past, and it's all your negative actions. You will notice it, and you can talk to anybody who's done longer retreats. This is what is happening. All the stuff that we don't want to see and that is far down, it kind of starts to come up and is really disturbing. You start to feel guilty and and all that. But this is what is haunting us. So when you, and also I mean, if you hurt somebody, how well do you sleep? Well, hey, come on. Are you that insensitive? Yeah, I hurt somebody. Everybody hurts others. So what? No, just go to sleep. No, do you sleep well? No, of course not. If you have made a mistake, or you cheated and you found out, how do you feel? Horrible, disturbed, upset. You're not calm. Yeah. So this is why the cause for happiness is ethical conduct. Yeah. So like that. Where were we? The 5 heinous crimes, like meaning having done things that are really, really horrible. Why killing father and mother? Killing father or mother is because they gave us this body and they kept us alive when we were babies. So this is why those are very big objects. Then having faith in the teachings and your own ability. This is very important, But please only have faith in the teachings once you know them and once you tried them out, whether it works or not from the beginning. But not having total faith from the beginning doesn't mean that then you say, okay, all of it is not true. When the Buddha says, don't believe anything I'm saying, this is very often people use this argument when they don't believe anything, what is being said. But he said, don't believe it, but take it and examine it. And as I'm saying, just saying, I don't know about previous rebirth, future rebirth, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Not knowing doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Yeah? Do you see what I mean? But we think, oh, because I don't know or I don't believe in it, then it doesn't exist. Not like that. Yeah. So to be at least to be open a little bit, to hear what is being said. An enlightened being has appeared. In this case, it is Shakyamuni Buddha, has taught the path to enlightenment, which we have. Teachings remain in an undegenerated state. Ooh, this is already going downhill quite a bit, and are still being practiced. Yes, I hope. And people in general are still kind-hearted. So if somebody says, "What are you doing these Monday evenings?" then you can say, "I learned to develop a good heart." Yeah, that everybody understands, and I hope they're not saying you're an idiot and you're stupid and you're naive. But if you are good-hearted in this world and you give something that you don't have to give, it can happen that people tell you that you are naive. You know, when you give to somebody that they think does not deserve it or something like that. So, but it's still, people still do appreciate when you are kind-hearted to them. They just think you are naive when you're kind-hearted to somebody else. So next time they ask you something, then you say, well, I'm stopped being naive, so then I won't give it to you. Okay, so you have a lot more things, more information here about what consists of a precious human rebirth, but I think we have to leave it at this because otherwise we won't be finishing with what we do. And don't forget, this is only kind of an overview of what is being practiced, yeah, so that we get from A to Z. And then when you think it's interesting, then you will continue. And you have to hear this again and again and again and again. Now, the foundation of all good qualities, which is, as I said, is this text that we take as a support, is on page. So we'll look at that, and then you can recognize here. It's on page 32. So the foundation of all good qualities is the kind and venerable Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Okay? Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. So that's what we did just now. Really appreciating what we have. So, and not wasting time because it will not last. Okay? So that's the next verse. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Okay, so this, until here, this is what one calls the lower motivation or lower purpose why one is practicing. So if you practice what we just read, that means you will not fall into a lower state in your next rebirth. Also, it means that you will have quite a happy life, I think, in this life. So it means, first of all, you appreciate that you have this good situation. Yeah, precious human rebirth. Then, will it last? No. So then you use it whenever you can use it in order to make progress on this path or in order to do whatever you set out to do. So again, the Buddha doesn't say you have to attain enlightenment. He says if you want to be free from suffering, this is what you can do. Yeah, but whether you do it or not, this depends entirely on you. So Uh, but because it's not always easy, as you said this morning, I had too much to do and I was tired. I didn't come for the meditation. So if you, it's a bit like playing tennis. If you want to become Wimbledon champion, you can't just go when you feel like going to the training. You go every day, right? Yeah. And then you maybe become a champion. If you just want to play tennis for your pleasure, then of course you go whenever you feel like it. The best way you want to learn to play something that sometimes you don't feel like going is that you have to pay before you go. Actually, that's what we should do here. We should ask you for the course to pay, before the course. Then if you come to all the sessions, you get the money back at the end. And then you can give how much you want. If you're not coming, then we keep the money. Do you see what I mean? It would help you to come. This is the thing. I mean, how many of you have a subscription to the gym? Nobody either. Yeah. So, isn't it? So when you see, oh, it's about to run out, then you still go a few times, isn't it? Yeah? Maybe yes. Huh? Oh, you have a new one. Well, anyway, so you can tell us when it comes to the end that we take advantage of it. So taking advantage of this precious human rebirth, because we don't know where we're going next time, right? We don't know where we came from. So taking advantage is like they say, it's like, if you're robbers and you have a machine to make money, but you know that by tomorrow they found out and then that's it. So, but they have it for one night. So do you think at midnight they say, we worked enough? Yeah. Actually, appreciating the precious human rebirth really gives you the energy to continue with sometimes difficult things. Like, as I said, if you do spiritual practices, you have to look at your mind, and the mind is dirty for all of us. Me also. I mean, we're not as good as we think we are. This is the problem. Yeah, we see our weaknesses, we see our anger, we see our selfishness all the time, especially if you go into silent retreats. It's all about me. Then we see when we are in a silent retreat, it's about me, I, this, that, constantly criticizing others and all this. So it's quite shocking, the picture that you see at the beginning, because when I started practicing, I thought I was a good human being, actually. So then I noticed, and you need to have, this is what lacks in the West sometimes, you need to have this confidence that it's just a layer that is just covering the good stuff, which we don't. When we Westerners, we start to identify with this, and then we start to feel guilty, and then we don't want to look anymore. Yeah, we don't know, or we don't have trust in our ability to be kind in all the situations. And kind, but again, it doesn't mean that you let everybody walk over you. Kind means whatever reaction you have, the other one's benefit or well-being is included in your action, not just your own or the benefit of your group that you've chosen or whatever. Do you see what I mean? This is kindness, not, oh, let everybody do whatever they want to do. That's no kind. That's being lazy. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Okay. So, when it says, please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. So what does it mean? That you have to practice at night also? You can't sleep anymore? Does it mean that? Yeah, how? Exactly. Well, that's quite high. Okay, this is introduction, Julian. So how can you practice when you go to sleep? We generated a good motivation before, a good, huh? No, before you go to sleep. When you put your head on the pillow. Oh. Thoughts. Let me give you some hints. What kind of thoughts could you have before you kind of depart into dreamland? Huh? For example, I spent the day quite well. I didn't harm anybody. That's already enough, because we want to rejoice in the good things. We might not have a lot to rejoice. So at least to say, wow, I didn't hurt anybody, I didn't harm anybody, I didn't cheat, I didn't have to hide mistakes that I made, which we're very good at. Didn't have too many harmful thoughts about others, didn't meet anybody that I was jealous of. These kind of things we can rejoice. Didn't create any negative karma, for example. Yeah. What else? For example, we can be grateful. Well, I have a bed, I have a roof over my head, and all that. Yeah. What else? Yeah, that's good, Julian. But don't forget, we're beginners class here. For you, yeah, it's good because otherwise, if you start too quickly to contemplate about emptiness, all of a sudden you start to say nothing exists, which is not really emptiness. But that's a good one. Yeah, you dissolve yourself into emptiness, which you do anyway. The mind goes into the clear light at the time when you go to sleep. This is why we like sleep so much, because the mind goes into its natural state without us being conscious of it. Because when you are in your clear light, there's no more I who is watching the clear light. It's just everything is oneness like this. No, but you could think about, for example, that I'm tired and going to sleep. You could think, I'm tired now, I'm going to sleep, so tomorrow I'm rested and I don't get on anybody's nerves. Yeah, you include others. Yeah, or when you eat, instead of just being my food and I like it, I don't like it. I'm going to eat this food so I have a healthy body. I can benefit others with my healthy body. Then your mind stretches. It's not just me, I, and the world all of a sudden becomes quite bigger. This is how you practice at night when you go to sleep. That you think things like that. And then, of course, as Julian says, emptiness or dream yoga. Just a thought. May I see my dreams as dreams? Okay? You might be able to, at one point really to dream, but still one part of your mind knows that you're dreaming. And then you can be Superman or Superwoman. There's no more fear. Yeah? And by the way, one uses the dreams a lot, not to put some hidden meanings in there. There are sometimes hidden meanings. I don't know so much about dreams. But one uses it the other way around. One uses dreams to see how powerful the mind is to create a reality where nothing is there. That in your dream, everything is just projection. Do you understand this? That it's the mind that projects. And then we take this into daily life and say, here, exactly the same thing, as opposed to a Buddha, the awakened one. Yeah? And then life becomes much easier. As I said, it's just a projection of my mind. Everything is impermanent also. And on top of it, it's not good or bad from this side. It's my mind who labels it good or bad. Yeah, so this is how we use dreams. This is how dream yoga is done, not to go to places and this, but to really understand how the mind can create a reality which in the dream looks totally real. And we have all the emotions who go along with it, like all the reactions are there. And what happens when you wake up? Huh? It's gone. What happened to the emotions? Hmm? Yeah, but how much bit? How long? The fear. Really? Yeah. You wake up and you feel the fear. Then you see that you're awake and it was just a dream. What happens to your fear? For normal people, excuse me. It disappears. Yeah, but how long you carry it with you? It was a really real dream. No dream is real. All the dreams appear real. Yeah. Okay, so if somebody hurts you, how long you carry this along with you? No. In your daily life, somebody hurts you in your so-called real life. How long do we carry this along with us? Much longer, isn't it? Okay, so you might still carry some of your dreams with you, but let them go. It's dreams. Nothing happened. Yeah. But when somebody hurts us because it's real, then we carry this with us like for forever, basically. So that's how you use dreams, and this is what it means. Let me practice day and night takes its essence. May I see my dreams as dreams. It's quite a good thing, actually. I'm happy that I have to say it all the time because I keep forgetting it, to say it to myself. Mm. Okay, then we come to the next topic, which is impermanence and death. Like we have perfect conditions. Do we agree that? Do we agree to that? Or what do you think is missing so that you could do spiritual practices? Hmm? It's all there. For everybody, it's all there. And then you feel guilty about not doing more, is it? So then it's something lacking because you feel guilty about not doing more. What is lacking? The urgency. The urgency. Die Dringlichkeit. That is lacking. We make choices, because we don't think it's important. It's kind of a little bit, I'm saying we. So if you feel yourself excluded, I'm happy that you feel yourself excluded. Yeah. You see, when you have cancer, I don't know, maybe we have somebody here who has had cancer. You wouldn't miss a session of chemotherapy. You wouldn't say, no, I'm too tired, I'm not going. You wouldn't say, the weather is too nice, I'm not going, I'm going next time. You would never say that. Because why? Because you don't give yourself a choice. So the enthusiasm is missing. The joy of being able to practice is missing. It's more like duty and, I feel like it, I go, and if I don't feel like it. So then the next one is very important, and we don't really do this either. Yeah. You see, all these thoughts they build up in this way so that we're not damaging ourselves also. First, we have a joyful mind. Wow, I have what I need in order to practice. Then, in order to use it, we need to put some fuel in there. We need to put some enthusiasm in there by seeing that it's urgent, and but I can do it. So then, and you don't need, practicing is not just in this room. Spiritual practice is everywhere. Yeah, don't say, I don't have time to come to the classes. Well, you have YouTube, you have internet. If you don't know the practices, then put on those instead of listening to music or watching movies the whole day. You can listen to teachings until you have it coming out of your ears, whatever. Or you can, you can find a difficult situation and put yourself in there on purpose, things like that, and see how you react. It's easy they say it's very easy to be a good spiritual practitioner when your stomach is full and the sun is shining. It's very easy to be compassionate when nobody attacks you, when you have everything you need. But even then we don't succeed properly. Not even then. I know I'm a bit hard with you. Am I too hard with you? No, it's okay. Can you bear it? Een beetje kappen waschen, zei het met hem Schweizerdeutsch. Sorry for those who didn't understand. There's no meaning for that. I don't know the English expression for kappen waschen. But then it's clean, oder? Dann nachher ist sie wieder super. Okay, so then the urgency comes when you see life is impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. So in the meditation on death, so first we have seen that we have what we need, but it won't last. Now this is page 24. Coming to that. We're not there yet. It won't last. So the steps are like this. The Four Noble Truths he understood. Life is not as satisfactory as I want it, okay? There are causes for that. This is the first time we did that. Do you remember that? There are causes for that. It's possible to eliminate those causes, and how. We're in the how now. We have understood the other things. The causes for suffering is karma and negative emotions. Yeah, but suffering can be eliminated. We have understood that. This is why now we go on this path. How do I do it? First, you need to see, do I have what I need? Precious human rebirth. We have it, okay? The second question that you ask is that, will it last? And this is where we are at now, okay? Will it last? No. And they gave you good reasons. So here, the 9-point death meditation. Death is certain. Do we agree with this? Are you sure? Okay. If tomorrow you come here for Tuesday evening for the Tuesday meditation and Tere says Losang has died, how would you react? What would be your first reaction? Really? Nobody would say why not. The first reaction is always when you have seen somebody totally alive today and somebody tomorrow comes and says he's dead, we are not believing it. We question it. How can it be? I just saw her yesterday. This is the normal reaction. I don't know if you've ever been in such a situation where somebody has died like this. You can see it. We refuse to believe it. Sometimes we even see the person. It's so real still. Yeah. So we think that we know that everybody's dying. Yeah. But actually, if we would be like Fabio and then say, yeah, of course, everybody dies, people would think we're cold-hearted. So distorted we are in our society around death that we don't want to believe it. Yeah. Or, yeah, others die, but not me. You see, we always think, how many of us have really a realization that we could not arrive at home tonight? Nobody. We're all 100% sure we go home, we go to bed, tomorrow we go to work. We've even maybe planned already the holidays. I'm going on holiday and then I come back. Hey, we plan like years ahead maybe sometimes, or at least days, isn't it? So that means we're not really integrating it in our life so that we live our life not in a way so that we can die without regret. Unless we really, I don't, the kind of don't care type. Then there's also people like this. Yeah, a happy life, okay. Not happy life, okay. Don't care. Yeah, there are people like this who have become so insensitive to what's going on inside. Yeah, I know people like this. They're my friends. They still smoke dope. Yeah, so I'm 70. I don't anymore since long time. Uh, but they still do. And they are a little bit like that. His wife died and he was very philosophical about the whole thing. I was like, hey, man, she's dying. What are you doing? He was in, because of the dope, he was in total denial what was going on. Yeah. So anyway, so you could be one of these don't care types. And whether we are really that realized that we can understand these things is only we see when it really happens, when somebody really dies, when somebody dies that has been close to us, and then suddenly that we go, oh yeah, everybody dies, okay. Oh yeah, I'm Buddhist. This rebirth we'll meet next time. It's okay, you know. This is being indifferent. This is not being equanimous. The kind of mind we have, it's okay to feel pain when somebody dies. So it's okay to feel shocked. It's just to show us that we don't know about that death is certain. So then we give our mind like certain arguments why death is certain, because it's not enough to just say death is certain, even though we see it, we still don't believe it. So the arguments are, it's impossible to find a body that does not die. Do we agree on that one? Yeah, that's one of the arguments. Every moment we are approaching death cannot add anything to lifespan. You see, when you have a bank account and nothing comes in, and you see that it's going down, 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 you start to take some action here, yeah? You start to maybe spend less or see where you can get some from or whatever. Our lifespan is the same. It's going down, 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 down. Do we really start preparing for death? And then again, is the big question, what is preparing for death? Thinking about where you want to be buried. Do I want to be cremation? Do I want to have body burial? What kind of coffin do I want? Is that preparing for death? What do you think? For some people might be. I had somebody in a course like this. She said, oh, it's very important where I'm going to be buried. I said, okay, then write it down somewhere. I have always a paper with me in my bag where it says what I want to be done. When people find my body dead somewhere, whom to phone, whom to tell. It's a good thing actually. It makes you work with your own death. To think, whom to contact and it's very good because I lost my wallet with the cards in it, with the train cards and all this, and because that was inside, they could find me. So it can even be very helpful in time of while you're still alive. If it wouldn't have been inside, I don't know if they would have noticed. But it's a good thing to do because then people know. And also it's good to see to watch your own mind while you're writing down what you want to be done. Yeah. Whom to notice, whom to phone, and these kind of things. So yeah, are we aware of that? I can't remember who said that. Um, if you would be falling out of a plane without a parachute, you would be certain that death is approaching. Our situation is not different. The only difference is we're not aware of it. How many of you wake up in the morning and think this could be my last day? How many of you go to bed in the evening thinking one day less where I have time to do what I want to do? Do you do it? Very good. That's very good. That's kind of feeding into the enthusiasm to enjoy life, to live life at ease, having nothing to worry. That we can die without regret. To think, wow, every evening to think, one day less where I have time to do what I want to do. That can be your homework for next week. See what it does. Does it make you depressed? Exactly. We're afraid of these thoughts because we think it's going to make us depressed. It's totally the opposite. And in the morning, this could be my last day. Then next thought will be maybe meaningful, so I can die without regret. That also it motivates us in a good way. Yeah. Okay. Then the third one is kind of that's where it leads to. We're constantly involved in causes that will not help at the time of death. Kind of it leads to put some direction to our life. It helps us to set priorities in our life. Have you ever had contact with somebody who has had the diagnosis cancer? Have you had contact with somebody like this? Okay. Huh? Okay. Then what happens at the beginning? Everything stops. Like the whole life stops at the beginning. They don't go. Yeah, okay. Second opinion, definitely first. And then, uh, yeah, it's like we see it happening to so many people. When it happens to us, it's like, what, me? No. And then the next thought should come, why not? I remember I had a lump in my breast like many years ago and it was big, when I felt it. And it was the evening or night, I was already in bed, I was in Dharamsala. I thought, cancer. Next thought was, no. Next thought was, why not? So many women that age, I was about 40, I think, it was 30 years ago, have breast cancer. So the next thought was, why not? And the why not makes me go and not wait and examine it. But then I went to the Tibetan doctor who said, no, it's okay, don't disturb it. And then I had to take medicine for about a year and a half, and it dissolved by itself. So if you're around 40 and you feel lumps in your breast, I mean, most of the time it's no cancer. That's true, but it's still good to have it examined. Yeah. But the first thing is like no, yeah, and everything stops. And then if these people, if they accept it that they have very little time to live, they have a life which is full of quality with moments of despair. I'm not denying it. If you do like my brother, who denied everything, life already before you're dead is hell. He was so angry and he tried to have as many pleasures as possible, even though his body couldn't take it anymore. And it was so sad. And nobody was allowed to talk about death in his family. He was in total denial that he was dying. It was a very, very painful experience. Very painful experience. But it's how it was. So then we can see how we do. But if very often, if we know that we have very little time left, yeah, we have somebody in the group in Bern. I mean, she says, I know it will come back because it will come back. But while I'm well, I'm enjoying myself. She went to New Zealand and Australia to visit her brother. Yeah, and she's dealing with it in a really good way by accepting it will come back. And she even says, she says, I don't know if I'm going to do the third chemotherapy. I'm not sure yet, but I know that I will have to face it. And now she's so happy and she's so well. The practice, she's practicing since many, many years. And you can see the result. I mean, it's so inspiring to see how she deals with, also while she was in chemotherapy. Poor. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first point. That's kind of easy to understand that death is certain. At one point it will be finished. The time of death is uncertain. This is another thing, we think, okay, yeah, okay, I'll die when I'm old, or at least tomorrow, but not today. But you see, tomorrow never comes. When tomorrow comes, it's today, and since I'm not dying today, I cannot die today. I will not die today. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Every time we make a cup of tea, we're quite sure that we can finish it. Every time we start a project, we're quite sure that we can do it. Death will not wait. You can't say, no, 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 no. Just please, only, 3 more days, then I'm ready. It will come. It will come when it decides to come. There's no place you can hide. There's nobody who can say, 2 prayers for me, then I won't die. There's no, even you have like all the money in the world, even all the best doctors, at one point, useless. That's right. You see, if we think in terms of maybe 100 years from now, none of us will be around anymore. Will be maybe a name on a stone on the graveyard. Maybe, if you want a grave. It's less and less. Less and less people want stones. So not even a stone anymore. Nothing. Me, who is so important, I will have totally disappeared. Nobody will remember me. It will have been as if I haven't lived. What? You know? Yeah. All the people who lived like 200 years ago in this place, they're all gone. What do you think? You see, we're sitting here and say, yeah, 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 blah, 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 because we don't believe it. We had like forest fires one point in Tushita, just behind the center, and the center is surrounded by forest. And you could smell it, you could hear it, you could feel the heat. And then when we started talking about this, people started freaking out. They said, oh, I don't want to think about it. It makes me afraid. I said, yeah, yeah, it's like I can understand. I'm also afraid. Yeah. We kind of refuse to believe it. It doesn't hit home, this whole thing, because we're not used to it. You might be used to it. I'm not sure. I'm saying we, so as I'm saying, I'm generalizing the whole thing because in general it doesn't hit home. But you might have had situations, you might have had to face death already a few times, so then you know, and then your life can become quite joyful because you set priorities. There's many causes for death, few to support life. There's also, it's actually a miracle that we're still alive. Do we have a doctor here? If you would have a doctor, that person could explain to you how many conditions it needs for the body to function, and how little it needs for the body not to function. Yeah, it's a miracle that we're still alive. When you think like a small virus that we can't even see with our own eyes, it enters the body, makes it sick, we die. Can't even see it. How are you going to protect yourself from viruses and bacteria and all these? Now in the hospitals with all these bacteria that are resistant and, No, it doesn't happen in Switzerland. Yeah, it happens in Switzerland. They send you home now after the operation in Bern because they're afraid that you're catching this bug, that there's resistance. And the body is very fragile, so that goes together, yeah. So again, when we become aware that we're actually surrounded by things that can cause death, house can collapse, burn, cars, they're lethal. Cars are lethal. It hits you, that's probably it. Trams, even bicycles sometimes. Every time we go on a plane, we're sure that we're landing and getting off it, isn't it? We're sure that we're going to collect our suitcase. How can we be so sure? Now, when we start to think like this, what happens when you get off the plane, you're happy. Because you go, it hasn't crashed. You say thank you to the crew and to the mechanic, to the ones, the technicians and all these kind of people, You're happy. this whole thing about death, we think, oh, it's going to make us depressed. It's totally the opposite. Totally the opposite. At the beginning, it's frightening. But then you get used to the idea, and you're more, when I said, we're not really living in accord with reality, then you become more living in accord with reality. We just talked about this morning. Somebody said, this one is sick and they just can't find out what it is. And I said, yeah, people really want a diagnosis, how you say, diagnosis? Huh? Diagnosis. Uh, Rather, they prefer a bad diagnosis than no diagnosis, isn't it? Because this uncertainty, what is it? It's terrible. When you know this is it, then you know, okay, what can I do now? And this is the third point here. Actually, it's 9 points because it's 3 and 3 and 3 times 3 makes 9. What will help at the time of death? Possessions cannot help. Friends and family cannot help, and the body cannot help. Not help in the sense it cannot prevent your death. You cannot buy life with your money and your possessions. And if you're very attached to your possessions, and if your possessions were the only thing that you found solace and happiness in, it will be very difficult for you to go. Because somebody else will use them, and most probably, if they're not very valuable, what? Throw them away. So every time, if you have a little bit problem with money, and every time you want to buy something is not necessary, then think, if I die tomorrow, it might be thrown away, so why buy it? If you buy something, please buy high quality that you think, oh, if I die tomorrow, somebody is able to sell it for quite a bit of money, so at least somebody else can benefit from it. Then your possessions can help. If you have a lot of possessions and they're really valuable, it can help to make you more relaxed by thinking, wow, great, now somebody else can use it. I had a friend like this. She died in Paris. She has her own apartment. Her daughter has problems with money and stuff. She said, well, if I survive from this cancer, okay, if I die, at least my daughter will get the apartment. That will be good for her. Very good thinking at the time of death, you know. At least she will benefit from the apartment, which she did. Also, possessions, it's when it says it cannot help, means it cannot prevent your death. But it can help in a sense. If you use it well, it can help. But if you use it because that is your only source of happiness and you're very attached to these things, then it's difficult to let go and to die, knowing that it might be thrown away. Then friends and family cannot help. And also, you know how it is, even now, when you have to leave them, when people that you love, and then you go away for a year or something like that, or maybe sometimes even for a few months. Painful, isn't it? You cry. You go, they come with you to the airport, you turn around 3-4 times, you wave. Man, every time you turn around, it hurts more. This is how we are. Better to just go. I can see it when I have it. I don't have it anymore. But when I had it when I leave in the morning and nobody's up yet, I don't suffer. I don't cry. I don't feel pain. I'm maybe sad, but I don't feel pain and I don't cry. When they're up and then I have to say goodbye and all this, then there's tears and it hurts. Oof, yeah. And then dying, especially if there's still hanging things that are negative and hurt feelings and I've seen people die with these guilt feelings. It's horrible. So please clear it up now, as if you would die tomorrow. Yeah. When you need to say sorry to somebody, please do it. When you can say I forgive you to somebody, please do it now while you're still alive, so they can continue living. Body cannot help. Of course the body cannot help because that's the one who causes death. It's not the mind that dies, it's the body that dies. And if you look, how many thoughts go into this body? How much money goes into this body? How many worries go into this body? Most of the time. Again, it can be a homework during the week. You look, whatever I'm doing now, I'm doing it for the mind or am I doing it for the body? 99% is for the body. For that thing that at the end of life says, look, I'm tired, get out of here. This is the thing that we are mostly identifying with, not so much even the emotions, but the body, because it's been with us since birth. And we've experienced so many pleasures and so many pains with it. It's our dearest friend. Yeah, we care for it, we cover it, we clean it, we spend money on it. And then, time of death, tschüss, ciao, goodbye. That's it. Okay. Now, refuge, we're not going to look at it because this is kind of another topic. That's the next topic. But now comes what we just read. The thing here. Finding this life is impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Okay. Now is the question. First was, do I have what I need? Yes. Will it last? No. What comes after? That is black and white karma. And so when we look at karma, if you look at this whole list that I gave you here, it's over two pages, you should be able to figure out your actions, whether it's destructive or whether it's constructive. Okay, so karma is divided into black and white here, not very skillful. Destructive, constructive, I would think is more skillful. Destructive in what sense? What do you think? I'm on page 25 where it says karma. Give me an example of a destructive karmic act. Oh, what I should say. Karma is used most of the time in the West in totally wrong way. Okay? Karma means action. That's it. What you get is not karma. That is a karmic result. What you do when you do an action, you plant a karmic potential for a karmic result. I hear very often, I hear people say in the West when they're not so well or things go bad, they say, oh, it's my karma. I never heard anything say when they succeed, nice relationship, healthy body, oh, it's my karma. Never, ever. Karma in the West is only when bad things happen. That's not an understanding of karma. It's not a punishment. The Buddha is not throwing something on you. It is not omnipotent, okay? It is when we've done an action with body, speech, or mind that plants a seed or a potential on our mind stream, which goes from life to life to life. When the conditions come for this seed to ripen, it will ripen as something that you want, something that is, something that is okay for you, or something that is not okay for you. And this sounds very simple, but it is not, because it continues. You see, like being very generous in this life, which one could say is a constructive action, which creates the karma for you to have in abundance in the future. But you could use it in totally the wrong way, for example, and just use it for yourself or get very attached and all this. Yeah. So being rich is a karmic result of generosity, but it's not necessarily good or bad. It's what you make of it. So the law of cause and effect is incredibly complex, and it's only a fully awakened being who can really understand this happens because this and this and this has happened. So this is why we have this list where it makes it a bit black and white, but it's not really. So destructive karma results in suffering, constructive karma results in happiness. So then we have like 4 features, which is karma is definite. That means if your action is negative or destructive, there will be some suffering. If it is constructive, there will be some happiness. Okay. Same way. I mean, you as a scientist, like if I plant an apple seed, I can stand in front of that seed and pray and pray and pray, please be a pear. It will never be a pear. Yeah, if you plant a bitter fruit, bitter seed, it will bring a bitter fruit. You can manipulate it, same as with the karmic stuff. You can manipulate it, but if you just leave it, it will bring what it was. A substantial cause brings substantially a similar result to it. So this is what it means. What you have not created, you cannot experience. So therefore, we can let go of fears and hopes. And karma, yeah. Excuse me. I mean, the global warming. Why is it? Because we did actions that are creating. We're having the result now. If we are not stopping our actions, kind of just consuming and putting everything out, what we want to. We can hope as much as we want. Nothing will. Hope and fear as much as we want. Nothing will happen. The climate will go up and up and up and up if we don't change anything. I mean, that's karma. That is an action, just consuming the potential that, we create the conditions for the climate to warm up. And then the cause is, the result is that it will warm up and all the glaciers melt and all this. This is what we're doing, isn't it? But we can do something. We can go backwards. But we have to do something. By itself, by hopes and fears, it will not go backwards. But we have to take responsibility, and each one of us, as much as you can, without demanding it from the other before I start. If they do it, then I do it. Well, everybody is like this, so nothing will happen. Yeah, karma increases. This is a bit difficult to understand. So they say even a smallest action can bring a big result. Same way, one small seed, you put it in the ground, it meets the conditions. One cherry seed, that small, and you give it enough time, it will bring a big cherry tree with many, many cherries on it. That's what it means. You don't have a plant that once you put one seed only has when the result comes has one seed. This is why it can go in many different directions. And this is where mindfulness comes in. This is where motivation comes in. This is where I have a choice comes in. Who is it? Viktor Frankl, who said, he's a psychologist from, I don't know, 1920 or something. He said, zwischen Reiz und Reaktion ist ein Raum. Und in diesem Raum ist unsere Wahl. Between kind of input, between input and reaction, there is a small space. And in that space is our choice. And that choice creates our destiny, kind of thing. We have a choice how we react, but only when you are aware of, when you start to know what's going on. And I'm pointing here, when you really start to look inside. How does it feel to be angry? How does it feel to be attached? How does it feel to be happy? How does it feel this and this and this and that? Coming down a bit from the head and going into experiencing what's going on, knowing your own mind. And this comes from self-observation in meditation, when you are away from stimulation outside. Yeah, this is where it comes. This is where the mindfulness comes. When you start to see, oops, negative emotion coming up. Okay, I better shut up for the moment until you calm down again. Yeah, so like that. That's the training. That is actually the spiritual training. Recognizing when the emotion is destructive and then changing it and then acting. And this is where you have a choice. Then they say, oh, karma, can't do nothing, it's my karma. No, it's not like that. We do have a choice. But you have to create the choice by training. The choice is not God-given. The choice is training. You create the choice. You see, I have the choice to talk to you in different languages. Because I've created that choice. I learned the languages, but I don't have the choice to talk to you in Russian or in Hebrew. Because why? Because I haven't created the choice. So it's always this thing with karma. People say, what about free will? It's so useless to even think about it. What do you mean free will? If you go to a pizzeria, do you have free will to order whatever you want to eat? Yes or no? See? And you're both right or you're both wrong. yes, you have the free will. Whatever is there, but whatever is not there, you can't eat Chinese in an Italian restaurant. But whatever is there, you can choose. So we need to create these choices. And this is through our actions, through our constructive actions. Karma is never lost unless you destroy it actively. Also, these karmic imprints are never lost unless you destroy them actively. You destroy positive imprints or constructive imprints actively by being angry. And we know that. When you're angry, there is nothing you can enjoy. Absolutely nothing. And if you don't know it, or you say it's not true, just observe next time when you're angry. You're really angry, fuming, you go up, all these wonderful cakes up there, they're totally unappealing. Unless you calm down by seeing them. Somebody made cakes, how wonderful. Then your anger is gone. But while anger is up, everything looks totally disgusting. I don't know if you've ever tried to give somebody who is angry their favorite food in order to calm them down. Have you ever tried? You should. And then see that it doesn't work. What happened? They say, oh yeah, thank you very much. What happens when you try that? Exactly. Not hungry. I don't like this. And it's true, because anger distorts in such a way that everything is like, ugh, aversion. Have you seen that movie, this one with these emotions? In German it's called Alles steht Kopf. You should watch it. Huh? Inside. Yeah, really. I mean, it's so good. It is exactly, you know, it's so. This is a Buddhist who's done that. It's actually Paul Ekman. He helped with this. How even sorrow is needed, how even anger is needed and used in a good way. Yeah. So, and it shows you what happens in our mind constantly. These emotions kind of talking to each other, and what it does, and it's brilliant. I mean, it's really really brilliant. It's a shame that it's been sold as a kids movie, you know. Yeah. Yes, you're right. You're totally right. It's a really, really good movie. I asked kids the other day, because I do workshops with children, if they saw it. Most of them saw it. But I said, did you understand that this is you? And they said, no. So you see, they found it very funny, these characters, but they didn't see themselves in it, which is a bit of a shame. But for grown-ups, if you watch it, then yeah, it's really good. Okay. Now, it's not just the action. Now, again, we are used to 10 commandments. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do da. It's not like that. Because for an action to create a kind of potential seed, you need what is important at the time when you do the action, the state of your mind. Here it says intention, but it's not. It's not really skillful, because for us intention is when I have a conscious intention. Now I want to harm Fabio. It's not. That doesn't mean doesn't mean that. It's not conscious. Intention means the thrive, the impulse. That's the intention. Like attachment to this, and even though I know it's not good, reaching out. This one. This short moment of seeing something, and then it goes so quickly, and then the attachment is there, or the desire is there, or the anger is there, or the love is there, or the compassion is there, whatever. Love and compassion is, I want the other to be happy, I want the other to be free from suffering. Then that makes it constructive. Yeah. Attachment and anger, it's only about me. I don't want this, but I want that. You understand? And for that, again, your mind understands, because the mind itself is so clever that it knows what is constructive and what is destructive, because then it creates that potential. It's the mind who is creating the karmic potential. It's not the Buddha who says, ooh, that was a negative action. I better give him a bad point here. Yeah, it's not like that. It's us, and we know it. When you are angry at somebody and you shout at them, it feels very good while the anger is still there. The moment the anger is gone, what happens? We feel bad. We know it. We know it wasn't skillful. We know it. If you do something out of desire, it feels very good while you are whatever, having whatever you wanted to have. The moment it's finished, it feels bad. There's no satisfaction there. And then we run to the next one and to the next and to the next. So that one, what mind state is in. Then the action, of course. Then we need an object. So if I tell the door that it's very ugly and it's really horrible looking, it's not good for my mind, but it doesn't make a complete karmic action. And then the completion. When I heard Fabio and I see he's really unhappy and I'm very happy. That's it. Or I see, what do I see which is not mine? I see this cup and I think, what a nice cup. I got my back here, okay. I mean, this is what we do. And then I wait until everybody is out and I put it in my bag. So the intention is attachment to this cup. It's a very nice cup, knowing that it's not mine also, knowing I'm not allowed to take it. So that makes the karmic imprints. If Therese says, whatever you want which is in this room you can take, and I take it, that's fine. Then it's not stealing. But knowing that it's not mine, putting it in the bag, going home, taking it out of the bag and saying, now it's mine. That's the completion. Mosquitoes, I know you don't like to hear that, but I'm still saying it. Then kind of in the mind, this thing has no right to live. I make the decision whether this thing has a right to live or not. Because I decide. Then I plan. So I wait until it sits down somewhere. I use my intelligence. It's not funny. It's not meant to be funny. Because it's also a creature. So it's an act of killing. And an act of killing which is complete. Because then I go and I wait and I go very carefully and then even this would be enough for a mosquito. Then I go, tack! And then it's dead. Then I'm happy. That's a complete act of killing, even if it's just a mosquito. I'm sorry. In the Buddhist tradition, all animals are included. And then, people say, well, what about, malaria and dengue fever now coming to the West and all that? Yeah, you might have to kill animals. It's true. But then at least be aware that you did an act of killing. So then you do some purification and you generate some regret, not just mindlessly. This is the thing. Okay, so that makes a very powerful karmic seed. Now you can believe it or not. My friends who are, most of them, no Buddhists, but like friends from before, then there's a mosquito, then they go, and then they see me and they go, oof, sorry. I said, look, you don't have to say sorry. It's you did the action. It's not. I mean, it's like, why do you think you shouldn't kill mosquitoes when I'm there and then kill them when I'm not there? It's like, it's your responsibility, it's not mine. And then I start thinking about it. Or sexual misconduct. Also, a friend of mine, she had an affair with a married man, and then, it's many years ago because she's also my age now then. So she said, they don't sleep with each other anymore, like the married man and his wife. And I just said, so what? And it really made her think about it. Just my, so what? And she said, then a little bit later she called me and said, you know what, I stopped the affair with this man. Because that so what? We feel so justified. We cook ourselves like good excuses which don't help with the karmic imprints. This is the problem. Because deep down we know the so what, that it's no good. And very, very, you see, if we would be thinking about our future a little bit more, the world wouldn't be the way it is. It won't be the way it is. But we just think about now, my pleasure now, my happiness now, my this and that. It's always about this short-term happiness, and then we forget about long-term consequences. So what it says here also, throwing karma determines the next rebirth. So when that is a very strong potential, it throws you into your next rebirth at the time of death. Of course, if it's a destructive imprint, then you go into one of the lower states, something that you definitely wouldn't choose. If it's a constructive one, then again, you find the conditions to practice, or you have a very good life, like we have in Switzerland. So we've all must have have a lot of positive karmic actions created in the past. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this country. We would not be here. So you can be happy. So you should have happy faces now. Not feel guilty again. There's no point. And then what happens in that life, though, is what is called completing karma. This is when even though maybe the object wasn't very important, or the action was not complete, and so on. Then it determines, happy moments, unhappy moments, and all this in this present life. It's called completing karma. Is that more or less okay? What we come to is like, at the beginning, one learns this list, which is on page 26. What determines whether the thing will be very heavy or not so heavy, like the consequences, the result, is the object, the subject, the motivation, the manner of accomplishment, okay? So object, this is why I said before, if you kill your mother or your father, these are very, very heavy objects. Actually, your parents are heavy objects for your karmic actions, believe it or not. So you better be careful, because you owe them a lot. You owe your parents what you cherish most, which is what? Your life. If your friends would treat you the way you would treat your parents sometimes, we would surely drop them as friends. But our parents never drop us if they're normal. And most of them are normal. You see, probably your parents and your guru, this is what I'm saying, I'm not a teacher. Those are the only people in this world who never have a thought that you should be harmed. Your friends, when they're not happy with you anymore, when you're harmed, then they're quite happy. Or they even have harmful thoughts. You see, your parents, I'm saying if they're normal. Yeah, I know that there's parents who are suffering a lot and who don't treat their children well. But in general, the thoughts of the parents are always wanting their children to be happy, very naturally. Not wanting them to suffer so that they can learn something. Sometimes we can come with this very stupid argument. I make them suffer, then they will learn something. Yeah. And your guru. Those are the only people that never wish you Unglück. Is that man? Unluck. No, we don't say it like this. That never wish you to be unhappy. Do you realize that? And then the way we treat them sometimes is like, yeah. Why do you think you can treat your parents in such a bad way? And they don't throw you out. Maybe as parent, now you can think as parent, Why don't you throw your children out, even they're horrible sometimes? Why not? Why do you forgive them? Why is forgiving them quite easy? Because you love them. So you see, love, if it's not an attached love, is total protection for you. They can't hurt you because you love them. They can't hurt you in such a deep way like your partner can, because there's attachment there. There's a big difference between love and attachment. But that doesn't mean, I can treat my parents the way I want them because they love me, so therefore I can do whatever I want with them. That's not what it means, okay? Okay, so the 10 non-virtuous actions here, it only talks about the non-virtuous actions. History of body, which is killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Unfortunately, we don't have so much time, but sexual misconduct basically is when you force somebody, when somebody's too young, when they're not in their right mind, like when they're drunk, when they have a partner already. It doesn't mean marriage, but when you know that they are in a relationship with somebody, or when you are in a relationship with somebody. So, but first one is forcing somebody, yeah. Then speech, lying, slander, harsh words, gossip. It's okay, I can just continue. It's pretty clear. We all know what that is. Yeah. Then envy, and then tree of mind, envy, harmful thoughts, and wrong views. Wrong views is again is like denying something that actually you know that it's wrong, but you still say it's right. That creates a lot of suffering. If you look at politicians, for example, I mean, if they must know that it's not good what they are doing. I'm sorry, I mean, they're intelligent people. Still, they can totally believe that it's good what they're doing. Yeah, and it creates a lot of suffering. Okay, and here again, wrong views in terms of Buddhist views would be the same as in the precious human rebirth, not believing in the three jewels, not believing in that there is possible to be free of all suffering, not believing in law of cause and effect, totally denying rebirth and so forth, totally denying it. It's not just saying, oh, I don't know. I don't know is not a wrong view. I don't know is doubt, so that's okay. Is that clear? Yeah. Okay, so this one is pretty clear cut, but don't forget, this is just the lowest level. So this is what we have to learn first, to abstain from these negative actions. And then it already creates positive karmic seeds. When you see the mosquito, you have oh, I want to kill, and you go, no. I see the cup, I want to take it, I go, no. Then it creates positive karma. That's good to know. Just abstaining from things when we could do it creates positive karma. Is it clear? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the 10 virtuous actions is the opposite. Then purification and results. I'm sorry, we cannot. Purification, we don't have enough time to go into it. The results, there's also 4 results. So one is ripening results, means that is your next rebirth. That's the ripening result. So I have a human body. That's a ripening result of positive actions from the past, all of us. We have that what is called collective karma. We all created the same kind of actions in order to have a human body, not at the same time, but the same kind of actions. Then the result, which is similar to the action, you experience something similar as what you have done at one point in this life. Most of the time it comes in another life. It takes time for these imprints to ripen. Same as it takes a cherry seed, it takes a long time for it to make a tree. Then result similar to the cause, and that is what the danger thing with the destructive actions, and it's very good to know with the constructive actions. You create a habit. Doing actions, you create a habit. Yeah? So we can change habits, as we know. So you see, when I steal from somebody and then somebody steals from me and then the karmic imprint is finished, that's fine. That's no problem. Yeah, then it would be okay. But because somebody steals from me, I steal back. This is what happens. Then people think, oh, okay, they cheated me, so I also cheat. Yeah, we do that very often. We excuse our small negative actions with the bigger actions of somebody else. We say, oh, I only do this, but look at them, they do that. And we think it's okay. This we do because we think that there is a God who is watching. But there is no God who is watching. It's your mind who is creating the karma. Yeah. Or you can also, whether destructive or constructive, you can turn the whole thing around. If that happens to me, would I like it? Then you know. It's as simple as that. You see, I was in Samoa like many, many years ago, and there, at that time, people still shared everything with each other. So I had a backpack, of course, because I was a tourist. So people took me into their homes. I was living with them. One day I see a young man going through my backpack, looking for something. I say, "What are you looking for?" And he says, "Well, I'm just looking whether I can use something that you have." It wasn't stealing for him because that's what they do. Me, I was very happily taking what they were giving me, but I wasn't happy when he went through my backpack. So that was attachment. You see what I mean? So this is it. I mean, when the mind knows, it's the mind who creates the negative karma. So even if you feel good about killing somebody, but you wouldn't feel happy being killed, then the negative imprint is being created. Do you understand? So is it clear now what the black and white actions follow? Yeah, they determine how our life is, and where we are going to be reborn. So, what comes next is according to the actions that I do in this life and that I did in past lives. Okay. So when you practice this, when we talk about the tree, so that you see the structure of the path, when we talk about the levels, okay? So they talk about 3 levels. The lowest level, meaning a motivation. So the motivation would be, when you practice only until here, the motivation is to have a good rebirth. That means you know that you can change your mind, you can develop your mind, you know that this situation is not going to last, and you're careful about your karmic seeds that you're planting. And the ones you already planted, you do some purification practices. Okay? You purify with regret, doing an action, taking refuge, and then making a strong determination not to do it again. It's also in here, these 4 factors. So you can destroy these seeds, the negative seeds, with that. When you totally admit, you regret, you say, shit, I shouldn't have done it. No excuses. Oh, I did because. That's not purifying your negative karma. But yeah, I did that. It's not good. Then you take refuge, means you trust the Buddha that this is going to work. So this is why I didn't want to go into that, because it's difficult for some people to have trust in the Buddha because you don't know the path yet. You generate bodhicitta. I'm doing this in order not to suffer in the future. You do an action which counteracts the negative action. And this is also, it's very Buddhist, and some people say, what should that work? How should that work? It's like reciting mantras, doing prostrations, reciting the names of Buddhas. And for us Westerners, we say, what? If you've stolen, you better go and give money to somebody else. Yes, you can do that if you do it with the mind of, they don't need to say thank you because I'm paying my debts here. If you have that mind, then it purifies. But if you then start to be very proud about being generous, this is like being proud paying your bill when you go out of the micro, you know. You took something, so of course you have to pay. But when we give money to somebody, like when we practice generosity, we feel very proud and we want them to say thank you and use the money in the right way. So then it doesn't purify. Do you see what I mean? If you do it with the mind of paying a debt, then yes, it can. But saying mantras, doing prostrations and all this is quite easy. Try it out. It works quite well. Works quite well. And they do here, yeah, you do medicine Buddha, puja, you do things like that. You know, the pujas usually have some purification in it. Okay, so if you take care of your karma, you appreciate the situation that you can, because I think for most of us now, we have no necessity to create negative karma, isn't it? We don't need to do any of these actions. Other people who are, their life is in danger and they need to kill others in order to be protected, then they're in a difficult situation. We, at least now, we should be very, very careful about how we behave. Yeah? Because we might be or when you're very poor, it's very difficult. You're very poor, you can't buy food for your kids. It's very difficult not to steal when you can steal. It's almost impossible. But still, because there's no Buddha who is watching, saying, oh yeah, she needs to steal, therefore it's positive, it's still negative. Because the person that she's stealing from is not liking it. Yeah? Do you see what I mean? So now we are in a situation where we don't have to steal and we don't have to cheat. So I don't know if I'd already told you. Yeah, I don't know. If you forget to buy the ticket for the tram, do you buy it when you get off the tram? Nobody does. Why not? I'm the only one who is doing that. Yeah, of course. I had the transport. I would have paid at the beginning. I forgot. Of course I pay at the end. It's like going out of the Migros. I pay because I got something. Why is that for people here so far away that they should pay when they get off the tram? I don't understand. Huh? Think about it. Stealing. Just, So what? Do you pay because you get transport, or you pay because you don't want to get caught? Yeah. When I was a kid, we didn't have these belts. Yeah. So we put on the belt in order, not for security, in order not to pay the fine. This was the reason. Now people put on the belt because of security in the car, the security belt. Our motivation at the beginning, whenever we could, we took that thing off. Helmet. Do you think one of us took a helmet on the bicycle or skiing? Yeah. So, but really, when it came with this, maybe you remember, I don't know, with the security belt, we didn't put it on because for security. We put it on because we didn't want to pay the bill. Totally wrong reason, totally wrong motivation. So this is why I'm asking, are you paying your ticket because you don't want to be caught, or are you paying it because you're paying for your transport? Try to pay for the transport, because then you pay happily, otherwise you would have to walk. If you pay because you don't want to be caught, if nobody comes, you even regret you having paid. I know you're not that bad. Okay, so that's the lowest scope, a good rebirth. The next scope, and we have 3 minutes for that next scope, but I don't have to run out this evening because I'm going with the later train. The next scope is even though you become aware, even though our situation is incredibly good, you say it's still not good enough, because I don't know where I'm ending up next life. Also here, I don't know what is going to happen in my life, and I still have not developed my potential of love, compassion, and wisdom. So you want to get out of what is called samsara. Samsara, the definition of samsara, anybody knows the definition of samsara? How would you define it? You've heard the word. Huh? Cyclic existence is not enough, but it's good. It's a good start. Because also a seed has a cyclic existence. Seed who makes more seed also has, continues, has a cyclic existence. But it's good. It goes in that direction. Cyclic existence. Because also Buddha, actually, a fully awakened being who was on the Mahayana path, comes back again and again and again and again. Cyclic existence under the control of negative emotions and karmic results. Like we have no choice. We have no choice. I don't want to come back. No, I'm not coming back. A Buddha, he can say, no, I don't want to go back there. Thank you. But they come because they're pushed out of. They also have no choice, because their compassion is so big that they come back again and again and again and again, because they make that promise over eons that they will not go into nirvana until everybody is liberated. They never give up. Yeah, because that is so strong. Like a good mother or father who never gives up on their children. Even they have to go to jail. When they come out of jail, they're there again for them to help them, hopefully. Yeah, if that love is there. So that's love of the Buddhas. But we don't have control. Yeah, we are the same. I don't have any control whether I want to wake up in the morning or not. I will wake up. Yeah, because the conditions to wake up are there. So then at the time of death, that instinct to live, the instinct wanting to be somebody, that is waking up a karmic imprint for existence and throws us into our next rebirth. And then this is why it's very important in what mind state you die, because we have positive and negative imprints on our mind stream. So when the mind is open and full of love, then there is happiness. So we're well. Yeah. When we are full of desire and anger and aversion and jealousy and arrogance and all this, we're not well. So that also creates the environment in a way, the way we see the world. Yeah. When you are depressed, you have problems even going out of the house. When you are well, when you're happy, you love to go out of the house, meeting other people. When you are depressed, you're afraid of other people, isn't it? It creates the world outside. So if we are dying with a lot of anger and all this, it kind of wakes up a negative imprint, which throws us into a realm of anger or need. Like this is why they talk about hells and hungry ghosts. And when we are dying with a calm, peaceful mind, then a positive imprint is activated and it throws us into a more or less happy existence. Even though these Four Noble Truths, now one would talk about Four Noble Truths in order wanting to get out of that cycle of existence, to understand that there's not just the suffering of pain, there's also the suffering of change and the all pervasive suffering. We talked about those, we don't have to go into that anymore. Yeah, but they have causes, and because they have causes, because they are depending on causes, I can stop these causes. And then how? And then one would practice not just for a good rebirth, but one would practice, then emptiness comes into play. Yeah, what is called the three higher trainings: ethical conduct, which is still here with the 10 non-virtuous actions, concentration, and wisdom, studying about emptiness. Okay? And then the motivation is not just to have a good rebirth, or not just to have a good life, but to get not to be reborn under the control of karma and negative emotions anymore. Okay? So basically, what one studies or what one practices in the middle scope is this: the Four Noble Truths. There is suffering. These are the causes for the suffering. Working with these causes, working with those negative emotions, and then how. Okay? So this we do next time. And then we include bodhicitta and emptiness at the same time. So what we did until now is like this one, what is called renunciation. Yeah. That one is fed up with being in samsara. One knows that there is a better existence. Same way, you are in Syria and you've heard that in Europe is better. Okay? It's difficult to give up your homeland. It's difficult to give up samsara because we're very attached to our pleasures. We're very attached to this body. We're very attached to our friends. We think that's the non plus ultra. Yeah. But then when we realize that this is dangerous, that we could fall into the lower state, or we could, out of the blue, all of a sudden have cancer, be depressed, war breaks out here. We're so smug here in Switzerland, and we think we can't imagine that we could have a situation like Syria, or when they had Serbia, Bosnia, and all this. Not so far away. What makes us so sure? But yeah, imagining it that it could happen is like, isn't it? Can you imagine that we could be involved in a world war? Can you really? Okay, if you can, that means you appreciate every day when it's peaceful. Yeah. So like this. So you see, samsara is a bit like swimming in an ocean, and the ocean is full of sharks, and storms and waves. But at the moment it's very peaceful for us. Yeah. So then above you have the Buddhas in the helicopter, who's saying, "Hey, look over there is land. There is land over there. Please start swimming." And we go, "No, it's quite nice. The water is perfect temperature, and from time to time there's a coconut swimming by, and I have enough. Why should I swim? It's painful and it's a lot of energy, because spiritual practice is painful and you need a lot of time and a lot of energy." So I go like, "Oh, I better stay here." Then when the storm comes, then it's too late. Yeah. So this is renunciation. We want to get out of here. Yeah, because we have this wonderful potential of unlimited love, compassion, and wisdom, and we can't live it because of our, misapprehension of reality. We think that there's an I that we need to gratify so that we can be there for others. And as long as we don't understand emptiness, we can't be selfless. Otherwise, we destroy ourselves. Okay? Okay. So we've done 2 levels today, which is not bad. We talked about renunciation. Yeah. Please don't understand it wrong that now you have to go out of here and be totally depressed. Yeah, we can still totally appreciate the situation that we're in, but not just because it's nice, but because it gives me the perfect conditions to be able to work with my negative emotions, because they're not getting woken up all the time because of the conditions outside. Yeah. So I can study them. I can see how they arise. They're not too big. I can work with them. Okay? Good. So what's the homework? What do you want to do? Impermanence, death, um, or what? Or to really understand that, hey, it's not paradise here. It looks like paradise, but it's not. There's something better. It's because we don't know. You see, that's the problem, because we don't know nirvana. We don't know how it is to have a mind which is totally free from any negative emotions. That's why we don't have enough drive. Yeah. If now the door would be locked here, we would want to get out, because we know that outside there's a big world. We wouldn't be satisfied with this room. Yeah. But unfortunately, we're satisfied with the kind of samsara that we're having at the moment. So we're not in such a hurry. It's not so pleasant to hear these things, I know. But I'm supposed to tell you that, so. Okay, so take this thing here, because what you also have is a bit of a, I hope it's in here, the whole path. I know I had it in German. But anyway, read, the foundation of all good qualities, or um, there's this other one which is at the back. Look at these things when you are at home, so that do we have an overview over the path, which will help you a little bit. I don't think it's there. I'll try to find it maybe, or no, it's only the meditations. I have it in German, this which is from this kind of Buddhism in a nutshell. An overview over the path. I can send it to Nina, and then she can send it to you, because there you have all the steps explained in a really nice way. So then, if you could read that, it's only 3 or 4 pages. If you could read it, it will help you to more understand the structure, because actually what I'm trying to do here with you is kind of to give you that structure, so that whatever teaching you hear, then in the future you know where to put it in, kind of. Until now, does it make sense? A little bit, like, do we have what we need for life sucks basically. um, let's say it's not as satisfying as we could have it. It's no point making the world out there better. What I need to make better is my own mind. What is wrong with my mind? I project things outside which I think are true, and then I'm not in touch with reality. And so do I have what I need in order to understand this? Yes, because we're here and we're discussing it. And then you have ongoing teachings. This is just an introduction. Then will it last? No, because I'm going to die. What will come after? We had a little bit about karma today. And then, but still, if I'm born in Switzerland or in this wonderful place here, still there are the things that are much better. So I still need to work further, kind of getting out of this compulsory being reborn again and again and again and again. We have to stop it ourselves. That's what the Buddha says. Okay? Okay, so let's dedicate all the positive energy that we have generated together, that we do understand these points, and you will have to hear them again and again and again and again. Please don't have the illusion that this is enough and then you know what Buddhism is. Buddhism is very complex, because what we are in conventional reality, and nothing is true there. It's only relatively true. So we need to understand what is relatively true. And then to see what is relatively helpful and what is relatively not helpful, or constructive and destructive. So there's no prefabricated thing. It's not a dogma. And it's also not a belief system or just a devotion system. It's a kind of, how to say, it's an experience system. We have to experience these things. So you have a lot of responsibility for your own happiness. Actually, all the responsibility lies with you. So may we be able to understand these points. May we be able to practice them. May we have the enthusiasm to do these kind of steps on the path so that we can attain full awakening in order to be able to help others to get out of samsara as well. Okay. Thank you. So you see, I mean, all these methods, they're quite practical, because if you say, no, this is too much for me, then you just take whatever you find useful and you leave the rest. It's the bit you go to the Yelmoli, the Yelmoli is, or the Globus, they're very big department stores. They have a lot to offer. So you're not getting upset if they sell something that you don't need. You just leave it, As I said, this woman who said this morning, oh, karma, I can't do anything with it. But compassion I really like. So you leave the karma bit. It's okay. It's fine. It's absolutely no problem. But no need to get angry, and still be happy that everything is there and you might be coming back to it. So you see the toaster that you don't need today, and you're not going to complain to the manager saying, why are you selling toasters? I don't need any toasters. I don't believe in toasters. I eat my bread as it comes from the bakery. Well, fine, It's like some people like toasters. So then, but you know that the toaster is available. So one day you might need a toaster, so it's there. So this whole thing is a bit like a department store. So especially at the beginning, there's so much offered. So take whatever you find useful or it makes sense, and then slowly maybe add other points. And I saw there's a lot of courses happening in the future, like Gedun is coming, Venerable René is coming. So make space if you're really interested. Make space for that. And every Monday morning, if you have time to come, you can not learn how to meditate. We don't need to learn how to meditate. I mean, it's so easy. You sit and you have one object, you put your mind on it, but you can learn the discipline and the joy of doing it in a group also, creating group practice. And without, even all these, what I just said by heart, and all the details, if you don't have a quiet mind, nothing will transform. I'm sorry to say so. Intellectual knowledge is the first step, but then if it doesn't go any further with a concentrated mind, or shamatha they call it, mental quietude, your mind will not be able to transform, because habits die really hard. Yeah, so it's necessary. This is why this path is concentration is very important. Yeah. For the wisdom also then, in order to be able to understand. And just, even just sitting quietly every morning at home, even it's just 10 minutes, your whole day is different. Maybe not at the beginning, but slowly you start to feel the effect. But it needs to be done daily. This is the thing. And then when you come here once a week on Monday morning, doing it daily at home will be more, I don't know how to say. It doesn't need to be pleasant. I think this is another thing. People think spiritual practice has to be pleasant. No. They're saying chemotherapy has to be pleasant, otherwise I'm not going. I mean, you just need to do it. It doesn't need to be pleasant. It will come with time that you start to feel openness. But also, even though sometimes you feel totally open, then you have other moments where you feel totally like out of it. It's a very good book by Jack Cornfield, which means after the ecstasy, the laundry. When you're in the first moments of, wow, Buddhism is great and fantastic, because what you hear makes so much sense, actually. This is why we're happy to hear it, and we know it. Everybody knows it, because it just brings us back to our own nature. basically. It's crazy that we need somebody to show us our own nature that we've never departed from, because we can't depart from it because it's always there. It's, but yeah, because we've become so complicated, we need somebody else um, to show us that. So now I don't know what I wanted to say. For honeymoon, yeah. So at the beginning it's like, wow, this is great, and then it starts to become boring, because it's always the same thing, yeah. And also then, then the doubts and the blame. The group is not the right group. The teacher is not the right teacher. The teachings are not. We never bring it back to us, somehow. How many times I heard people say, oh, there's just fighting in this group, I can't practice there. I say, it's like, we have a lot of harmony and burn in the group. It's fantastic, but you can't practice in burn. No practice of patience. We're all very considerate with it. It's very nice. It's very nice, but we're not making any, we don't advance. We're not really, we don't have I was in America, I don't tell you where. Wow, we were fighting all the time. But there I made progress by being able to then still be open towards these people, to still appreciate them, not criticizing them the whole day, only the half day. I was very much at the beginning of my practice, but it was very, very challenging, and I'm happy that I didn't run away. I only left when it was time to leave. But it was good for the practice. We think that, oh, if it's not the right conditions and all this, everybody in harmony, everybody loving, everybody good example, you can't practice. You can. It's nice when it's like this. I'm not saying, Teres, I'm not saying you should start fighting with each other. Okay? I'm not saying that. But it's like, yeah, be happy that there is a group. And the group depends on you. Without you, there is no group. Yeah. So again, if you come into the group with this feeling, I'm so happy that there is a group, even if the group is just 2 or 3 people, it's enough. Because alone, doing this alone, I would say forget it. It's impossible. Because it's hard work. I don't know if you see the people who are quite joyful and making jokes and all this. It's the ones who practiced. Then you don't see the hard work. But it's like when you see a professional dancer. It looks so easy. Yeah, they fly through the air. It's very elegant, and then you try, you crash. They also can't do it without teachers and groups like that. So when it starts to become a little bit boring and all this, then this is the second phase. It's actually a good phase. Because when you still continue, even though it's boring, then the mind starts to transform. Because at the moment, our mind still needs to be, it has to be pleasant, and, it has to feel good for us to go. Yeah. Then nothing transforms because it's still attachment. It's still good because that's the first step. So again, don't lower your enthusiasm. It's fine. But when it starts to fade out, and it's usually after 2 years, and if you continue, and then you continue for another 3 years, then you can say, now I'm a spiritual practitioner. If you've done it for, regularly, really giving, I would say 30% of your time to the practice, then you can say, now it holds. Now, then you can't imagine a life without doing all this, without thinking about this all the time. It becomes part of your life, and then the mind really transforms in a really nice way. And then you say, how could I have, like me, how could I have lived 40 years without this? I don't know how I survived, really. So when it starts to get a little bit low, don't worry, it's good. When the enthusiasm starts to fade away, it's a good sign. Then you're in the second phase. This is when the marriage starts. First, it's just honeymoon. Honeymoon is easy, not at home, in a nice hotel, none of you work, it's still there. And then, when you go back home, then routine settles in, and then whether it holds or not, that's the work. And very often also not pleasant in a couple. Don't know if you have been in a couple. So there also, if people work with their relationship, because the relationship is important, it holds. If they don't work, they run out and look for somebody else, a wrong partner. Yeah. Okay. So have a good week. I would say think about impermanence. This could be my last day. How do I want to spend it? Or this could be my last hour, my last minute. Hmm? Yeah. At one point, it will be the last minute, my dears. Yeah. Okay, again, eat the cake with the awareness.